Well, hello everyone. House of Prozorov, political consultant Don Prozorov. Hopefully, I can reach some people to really see where we're at. And this might even be disempowering. Sometimes my messages might be empowering. I think this one is disempowering. Not to be non-motivational. I want to be motivational, but the illusion of choice, the illusion that your opinion has any effect on anything. Um, so I get a thing from a educational institution talking about we're grappling with AI. We're trying to figure out where AI fits in. We're trying to grapple with the questions of artificial intelligence. We're trying to figure out what it all means. The, that doesn't matter. These tech disruptors, who many of which are billionaires, who look at just primarily the bottom line, and don't get it wrong, your educational institutions are doing that as well, getting rid of faculty, going with the status quo, not sticking up for faculty, letting conservatives run their mouth on late night TV shows or AM radio shows and not challenging the dogma like these professors are out of control, they are communists. I mean, they've got tenure and that's destroying the education system. I mean, this is so false. This is like 50 years removed. The highest increase in tenure was way back in the 70s. Many people who are professors are science people. They are programmers, computer coding, mathematics, biology, chemistry. They have nothing to do with politics. Somehow, people without brains or with brains that are severely challenged have the idea that it's tenured professors who are creating all this liberal gibberish and the woke crowd. Now, how did I get on that with respect to AI? Well, easily. People who think they're controlling things more than they are. One, the center of control is not often at the universities. If it is, it's at a few universities, not the ones you can afford. Two, you're actually working against the universities, actively saying you don't want them funded anymore when you're talking about an elite institution that is Ivy League or some very expensive uh, university that has a multi-billion-dollar endowment and you've lumped in all the colleges together. That means nothing to me. That's just purposely ignorant. I've noticed people who are purposely ignorant, they'll say crazy things without um, noting any exceptions. They'll say things like, we all know all Christianity has different sects of Christians and different versions even of the Bible. But yeah, I talk to people who can't accept that there are many different types of Islamic interpretations, and Sharia law is probably, in some respects, often no more than Mosaic law, which came from Moses and the Ten Commandments. But things get perverted for people's narrow view and to fight their enemies. So they come up with these things that may only be true in some small example. The same thing when I see a educational group come to me and say, we're grappling with artificial intelligence. What does it all mean? Where's its placement? Where does it go? And my warning to you is you're trying to get people, first you have to get people economically viable. Okay, if they don't have their economics together, they have no rights or power in the system for the most part. They can protest, but they can't. For one, they're not going to be able to afford your tuition. They'll have wrecked credit. They won't even be able to get federal loans if things get really bad. They won't have any money to even take your classes, okay? They won't have any money to join your educational organizations. Money is key. Money, getting control of the money and making sure it's in the hands of many consumers, not few consumers. Right now, we have a system that's just few consumers and a whole bunch of millionaires, more millionaires anywhere than any place on the planet resides in the United States. That does not necessarily mean more buying power in the consumer's hands, unfortunately. Communism doesn't work. I have to agree with that. That's not what I would advocate for. I wouldn't even call it socialism. I would call it a generous welfare state with capitalism as one of the leading tenets of the country's philosophy. But anyhow, it's difficult. I have to now regress and go back to what I was trying to say earlier. You're talking about as an educational organization, whatever you might be, some kind of organizations for colleges and universities in the United States, and you're talking about grappling with AI as if you're in control of this advanced technology that people got motivated to use and implement so they could become billionaires, if not trillionaires. We see that with SpaceX, XAI. We see that with Grok. We see that with Open Chat AI, Gemini, Copilot. It's there to continue the run of the billionaire companies to keep making their money. And you, who arrogantly come out and say, we're trying to discuss where we feel. It doesn't matter what you feel. Who has the money? The money is crucial to everything. You cannot even stay in academics if your family didn't have enough wealth oftentimes to propel you to that. That's how it's going. Take it from me. Take it from me. It's headed that direction because we don't have the advocates for student loan reform, for allowing people to have their loan debt forgiven. We got people that have $500,000, $400,000 in student loan debt, which they only borrowed about $120,000. We've rewritten the graduate student loan structure, which is very favorable to banks and financial entities. We've screwed a lot of people, and we're having these dumb conversations about how do we grapple with AI? I would have to actually say these educational institutions and their peripheral organizations that bring educational institutions together are failing miserably. I would say people who have actual political movements like the No Kings movement, the scheduled data center protest in July, late July, at least those people know they have to get out on the streets and just simply make a statement. No, 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 and no. No, you can't do this. And so until we start saying that, no, the idea that you're grappling with things and you need to rip things apart and you need to balance everything and everything needs to be balanced and put into place and we need to weigh our decisions. No, sometimes you just need to do. Okay, I am, not I balance. Are you an accountant? Accountants actually balance real things, not balance ideas that you put in your brain that are irrelevant. AI is here. These guys are going to shove it down your throat. The longer you sit on the fence and just say, oh, we need to grapple with these issues and have a long dialogue over drinking coffee. And hey, there's space for that. I love doing that too, hanging out with my friends, drinking coffee. But does that actually fix the problem? Oftentimes, no. Your concerns about AI, does it even matter? They're implementing it. They're putting it in. Their governments are starting to implement it. Talking about regional county governments in the United States, and they're not even asking you. They put in data centers and they hardly ask you. They only started asking you about data centers when it came out that they're just going up everywhere and people started to notice them when it's too late. I mean, are the data centers the the empire's establishment in your backyard? I mean, was George Lucas way ahead of his time? Watch Rogue One, Star Wars. Rogue One is Star Wars story, whatever the hell it's called. Rogue One, Andor. This is, this is House of Prozorov. I don't have a real positive message for you, but the idea that you're like whatever you think doesn't mean anything. Who has the money and who has the power? And we've been in a situation where people have been trying to deleverage and depower people, mess up their student loans, mess up credit, mess up the we don't even have new and creative ways to get credit. We don't, with low interest. We don't have, nobody's suggesting that. Instead, these dogmatic communists, and communism does not work. Okay, it does not work because there's nobody to build anything better for any reason. Will socialism work? I don't know. Again, I don't even like socialism. I don't like to call it socialism. I'd rather call it a generous welfare state where profit is fine, but we have other ways to get people to profitability so they can jump into the system. Communism doesn't work. Not that Das Capital and Karl Marx is definitely worth the read because you actually learn a lot about capitalism through Marxism, and Marxism even went to as far as rejecting his own philosophy at some point. So you learn and then you adapt, and what went on those years and years ago is different than what's going on now. The fact is, communism, we have years of it. It doesn't seem to work. Um, Cuba, of course, many will say, well, it's not working because the US is messing up their socialist dream. Well, okay, whatever. What about Russia? That didn't work. Oh, was the US there again? Yeah, I'm sure our intelligence agencies were working against the Russians as they were working against our domestic population. We shouldn't look at the Russians as very friendly because they were gunning for us Americans just for being an American. Think about that. That's horrible. You don't know how much damage they did to our society. Hopefully, that'll come out one day. But as far as artificial intelligence, as you calling the shots as some education leader, I admire your attempt, but no, you are not calling the shots. You better figure out where you're standing and what artificial intelligence, how it can put you at a massive disadvantage. Yes, it can be used, the free platforms that are available, but can you only imagine how much better they have for the people that have tons of money and can pay for it and did it before artificial intelligence even reached us, the public, in what, 23? Was it 23, 3 years ago? House Prozorov, I don't see an easy answer. I would go along with the protesters, and some of those are academics because at least they're saying there's a problem. Stop, stop. Protesting is not communism, by the way. Okay, the Tea Party and the Boston Tea Party was a political protest. And anyhow, I've got to stop there. I went a little long. Appreciate your time. Check me out. Subscribe, like. Talk to you later.